Trading involves substantial risk and loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Good morning. And let's grab the links first thing. All right. We got a day. Let's just say that right now. We've got a day today. Today is the non-farms payroll number. Pretty important number. Maybe the most important number of our lives. No, I don't actually know that, but it's a pretty important number. All right. Oh no, oh, that's wrong. I clicked the wrong thing on this. Good. Okay. There's that. There's that. Okay. If we take a look at our charts, we can see that the 10-year and the 5-year moved up a little bit overnight. Just a little bit. But they did go out and take new highs at 23. But yesterday, we really distributed around 18, which is going to be an important level. It's kind of towards the bottom there. And then 21 today. But when you look at the ZB, it was kind of flat. So what we are seeing is we are seeing continued steepening. Yeah, you see that? So in the meantime, the E-mini is at a pretty good support level here at 27.33. Below that we have 28.84 and then this 26.30 area. 2600, I guess, is a critical level too, just because it's evens. You can see the E-mini moving down a little bit more overnight, but not a ton. Okay, so we got that going, and then I'm going to use Journalytics today. I got Journalytics, and I've got how do we do this? Journalytics. There's that. Okay. I know there's a way to do this. What's this one? There's calendar. Is this one? Is it this top one? Summary? Playbook? Nope. Ah, here we go. News. So we have them, and then we're going to turn on Rand Squawk here. I think our trial ends today, unfortunately. And I'm not so sure I'm going to buy it. Oh. Oh, now that's interesting. So if you try the Rand Squawk trial and it expires, then it will give you 5-minute delayed service. That's kind of cool. But that makes it useless to us. We're going to get it on the Twitters. Oh, there we go. 5-minute warning. I like it. I really like it. So I'm going to turn that like this. And then I'm going to turn TweetDeck into a different. Donald Trump tweeting about presidential harassment again this morning. I cannot believe the level of dishonesty in the media is totally out of control, but we are winning. Okay. So let's look at what we got here using Forex Factory. So we are looking for average hourly earnings month over month, looking for spot 3%. Non-farm employment change 180K versus 304K the month prior. An unemployment rate of 3.9%, with building permits at 1.29 million and housing starts at 1.19 million. Okay. So that number, that's 180 that we're looking for, an average hourly earnings month over month, spot 3. Okay. Goldman on Japan, we lower our tracking estimate for first quarter of 2019 real GDP growth sharply to spot 5 QOQ annualized from 1 spot 6, with downtrend revisions mainly for exports, capex, and personal consumption, which deteriorated significantly in January. Well, we may just go like way higher today. They are pulling. I don't think that personal income is going to come in at spot 3%. That's just me. That's just me. Good morning, Uzi. How come I'm not seeing you in the restream chat? Well, we're going to have to deal with that later. After the non-farms. Okay, that's given us the 1 minute warning now. Oh, yes, and a reminder that next week on March 12th and 13th, I believe, John Grady is going to be doing some webinars with the Jigsaw Trading. If you go to John Grady's Twitter, he has the links to sign up for that. I would highly recommend it. He is the guru, 100%. Yeah. Okay. So here's where, bada boom, bada boom. I got stuck doing tech support at the wife's office. Ooh, ew. Okay. Did not get filled that time. The number here coming in, um, it's not. I'm not. It came through so fast I can't actually see it. Um. Huh. Okay. Well, it went up and we did not get filled. Okay, so non-farm payrolls was 20 versus 180K. That's bad. Housing starts 1230 versus 1195. So housing starts was actually a little bit more than expected. But where's the personal income number? Yeah, that's a horrible number. But remember that the January number was ridiculous, overextended. So I think that there's a little bit of yeah. Okay. Average hourly earnings month over month, spot 4 versus a spot 3. That is not necessarily a bad number. I would be careful. Hmm. Well, I'm not so sure I want this at 24. Yeah, 20K for non-farms payroll doesn't sound quite right, but that is what I am seeing. Thought so. Okay. Hmm. IQ actually sold it. So if you take the past 2 months of it and you average it out, this was 20K and the previous was 304, and you divide it by 2 and you get about 175K. I don't know why the January number was so good and why. Okay, the regular session started at 22. We could potentially buy that. I guess I don't want to just blindly buy it though. What is causing this aberration? Well, so Jigsaw did give me the numbers faster than anything else. It did. It gave it to me like in a rush of notifications, and I could not read it. Could not read it. Okay. Already a lot of back and forth there at 23. Yep. That's like the lowest number I've ever seen, like without it being negative. Yeah. It's not the worst number I've ever seen, but that can't be right. There's got to be it's got to be more complicated than that. Both the judge and the lawyer in the Paul Manafort case stated loudly for the world to hear that there was no collusion with Russia, but the witch hunt hoax continues as you now add these statements to House and Senate intelligence and Senator Burr. So bad for our country. Then all of the news. But I don't see, as of yet, anyone trying to explain why this number. Okay, maybe it's going to be 23.5. And Jill shot trying it too. Okay. This whole thing is very interesting to watch here. Wow. Okay, so there's a strong bid at 25, making me a little suspicious. Okay. Okay. Well, I could have held that one. It would have actually gone to the target. So that bid did. How do I explain this? What I just did. I saw a large bid and I thought that maybe that was somebody bidding it up to take a profit. It's come up here. It's come up quite a bit, but it went more than just a tick, right? It went like 3 ticks. And now they're at 27. But now notice now that 27 is fighting. So I think that even though I was early and I didn't play the levels quite right on that one, there does appear to be some resistance here at 27. Where did that come from? 22 to 26? Where did that come from? Retrace. Ooh, I like that. Okay, and we'll just have the Twitter like large like this. Cool. From the Peterson Institute, economists examined 12 economic simulation models to estimate the impact of Brexit. Most of the studies find adverse effects for the UK and EU 27, and the two models that derive gains for the UK are based on unrealistic expectations. The biggest monthly drop in the U6 unemployment rate on record. What is going on here? Okay, here's Zero Hedge's story. Let's see if the Zero Hedge tells us anything. The whisper number. So there was a whisper number. Or perhaps a blizzard. So they're saying maybe it was just the weather. The lowest monthly gains in more than a year and far below all estimates, although revisions to the prior 2 months actually added another 12K jobs. Okay. So here's where I can't tell. I don't know. I think that I just sit back and watch for a little bit. Anyways, as we noted earlier, at least one bank, Goldman, was expecting a drag of at least 40K from above average snowfall during the February survey week. So the question is, how much of the February print is accurate and how much is weather/government shutdown related? Another major surprise, while the jobless rate fell modestly to 3.8 from 4%, the broader U6 measure of unemployment plunged to 7.3% from 8.1%, the biggest monthly drop on record. Going through the report showed that manufacturing payroll growth slumped to 4,000 from an estimated 12,000, though the prior month was revised up to 21,000 from 13,000. But the big surprise was construction jobs, which plunged by 31,000. Leisure and hospitality showed no growth, while education and health services barely grew. Meanwhile, employees on temporary layoff fell to 82,000 or 820,000, a level in line with prior months from 937,000 as effects of the government shutdown waned. Countering the blended payrolls was a continued strength in average hourly earnings, topped both monthly and annual estimates with a 0.4% rise from January and 3.4% from a year earlier, the fastest pace of the economic expansion. I think so. This is an instance, I think, where watching the hourly earnings number is really important, because the average hourly earnings number was a spot 4% versus a spot 3%, and spot 4% is the largest month over month gain in average hourly employment that I think we've seen this whole crisis. Not crisis, this whole economic expansion. So you're seeing we actually are getting the inflation now. So if people are increasing their earnings, but they aren't hiring new people because of the weather, that would be a reasonable explanation of what the numbers were. And if you had paid attention to the average hourly earnings number, you would not necessarily have been suckered in on this particular move. Well, now that we're back down to this 23.5 area, I think that they could, they might try bouncing here again. They might try moving down a little bit. Like you might see 20. That's a possibility as well. I should just pin the... Thanks, alligator. For posting it in the stream channel. I might move this up like that, and then I can see. Then I can see my Discord. Sure. I should post this. This is the news story. Wage growth soars. Well, they did stop a little bit higher than the previous run. I think at this point that you're just getting reverberation. So you could scalp out of the range here. But you're going to get less and less rather. Your returns are going to be diminishing. And then we're going to get the mini opening. And we can see where it goes from there. Zero hedge. Also, don't blame the weather. Trader warns it's always been the economy, stupid. Who's this? ECB chief Mario Draghi dramatically revised his monetary stance in every way and dramatically downgraded his economic and inflationary outlooks. But instead of the market taking its cue from the former, it was the latter, real economy, that sparked chaotic concerns in markets as traders realized the central bankers are clueless. My gosh, I tell you what, the Zero Hedge is like a really great resource, but he has an opinion that is a little bit too certain of itself and is almost always wrong. So I would always be careful about what this guy says. Okay, exports crashed. In China, that was overnight stuff. We knew that. Hmm. Hmm. Thursday's high was a triple top that cannot be ignored, is what they say, though. Well, I think when you look at this, see what he's talking about? I'm telling you. Let's move this. I'm going to take this picture. I'm even going to post it on Facebook. I should take care of that. Okay. This. Let's. Nope. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Cool. You get what I'm saying, guys? You smelling what I'm stepping in? Calendar. Day We do have wholesale inventories at 10 o'clock. So I guess we can look forward to that. They did kind of move up a little bit. See, they came down at 23 half, and they bounced up to, how far did they get? 5 half. They went from here to here, and then this last one they actually touched down to 23. So they went that, and then they actually went lower. So this is now in like random territory. So we're seeing kind of the action that I was predicting that kept me from taking any kind of trades. Look at that. That was a block sell there. Everybody in chat seems pretty quiet. I think they've all got their nose in it, maybe trying new trades or something. Well, I think that also this just kind of puts more pressure, I guess, on the next non-farm payroll, in the April non-farm payroll, because this one didn't really answer the question that we had. We only know that waiting, right? What the thing is that even with what we know right now, I don't think that we can say if we're going into a recession or not. I think that the risk is still there. And that the risk being there is what caused the move down to 2,300 in December. That was an impulsive move that happened on low volume and was not rational. But because that happened, you get this pullback, you get a really strong rally back. And so this whole bull move too is something that you can discount in terms of the, this question about, are we going into a recession? Well, that move up doesn't tell us that we're not going into a recession. It just tells us that we were overextended in December. Now when we come back, they're going to go to 2,600 and they're pricing it in. And I don't know. We need more data. It could totally happen, and I'm a little bit concerned because I feel like there are too many people that aren't ready for it. Especially businesses. There's too many businesses out there with a lot of debt. I suppose a recession would help that, because if we have to lower interest rates, then that would help those companies, I guess. But it's always going to erode value. So yeah. EU chief negotiator Michael Barnier and Wayand, I don't know how to say that, Wayand Sabine just left commission to go and brief EU ambassadors. We're still working, he tells us. Hashtag Brexit from Angus Walker. Also from Donald J. Trump. Women's unemployment rate is down to 3.6%, was 7.9% in January of 2011. Things are looking good. Zero Hedge saying people not at work due to bad weather, 390K. Would also help those who will buy those companies. I like your thinking, RC415. And by the way, thank you for watching on Twitch. We don't get very many viewers on the Twitch side, but I always appreciate hearing it and knowing what attracts them. Because, Twitch is mostly kids, and kids just don't like business, I guess. I don't know what it is with this generation. I'm going to harp on millennials for fun, not because I have this really hard on for millennials, but because I know that people love to hear people make fun of millennials. But I just don't understand what it is, why millennials hate making money so much. Why am I wrong? They don't like making money. That's what it seems like to me. It's like the 2008 crisis came out, and they decided that everybody that makes money is evil. Oh, I found you on YouTube. Oh, okay. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah, that's the thing is most of our we find most of our viewers on YouTube. And so people watch the live streams on YouTube, but Twitch is a better streaming platform. I actually think that you get there's a little bit less delay on Twitch, and there's all sorts of fun chat features and stuff. See, if we had a bunch of people on Twitch, we could do like votes and stuff like that. I'm new to Twitch and long past being a kid. I really enjoy Twitch. I think that to me, the big problem with social media these days is that it's not very personal. And I think that it distorts our reality, causes us, it messes with our brains, because you get that dopamine rush from it, and it distorts things. And when you're doing Twitch, granted, when you're doing Twitch with small groups of people like we're doing here, a couple dozen people, maybe a couple hundred people, but I think you kind of start to lose it a little bit when you get to thousands of people. But then you get that personal interaction again, right? And personal interaction, to me, is kind of that check. You talking to people and they say, oh no, I don't agree with you. And you go, oh, okay, let's talk about this. See if we can understand each other and what each other are thinking, So I really like Twitch. And it's also kind of fun because it's like, I think the big thing that the internet gives us, like the biggest benefit that the internet gives us, if I was a trader and a retail trader back in the 80s, maybe, I guess you wouldn't be able to do this because you wouldn't really be able to trade online, would you? But so maybe you do it in the pits or whatever. But you go home, you're not, your family doesn't understand trading. Your friends don't understand trading. You got nobody to really talk to about your interest. Good job, Digital Shot, by the way. That was a great trade. I kind of thought, well, we're back here at this open. Maybe I should try taking it again. But I think I want to wait until after the E-mini opens, but he took it and he got it. So good job. Anyways, basically, the internet allows people to connect that wouldn't normally be able to connect. And especially people with niche interests. But you're just getting message boards, email, Twitter, which Twitter is very, very limited, right? So you don't actually get real interpersonal interaction. And if you've ever met a friend online and then you've gone and met them in real life, and almost always, it's always once you meet them in real life, it's even better than when you just knew them online. But and they're the same person, but it's different. It's like they're there and it has a different impact on you. And I think that Twitch kind of gives you a little bit of that. Yeah, good job, Digital Shot. So yeah, I really like Twitch, and I'm glad that it's a popular thing and the kids like it. But Brazil President Bolsonaro says he confirms that he will visit China and that relations between the countries will improve. I need to Scroll up here to the top. Okay. Also, I'm glad that the YouTube algorithm is directing people here. So that's good. It seems kind of hard these days to kind of get it to do the right thing because there's so much competition and manipulation of it, but and you really do have some people out there running pretty shady trading room operations out there that are just kind of out there to screw over everybody else, you know. Yeah, I like it. Digital shot. Ace got 2 points in the basket. Is that 2 ticks or 2? Oh, 2 points. Ace trades. Yes. Okay. So he's taking it in the e-mini. And he already took 2 points. Wow, wow, wow. Good job. Here we go. Market Watch Economy. I will read this story for you guys. Here are some comments from economists about the February jobs report, which showed 20,000 jobs added in the month, but the jobless rate falling to 3.8%. Dean Baker of the Center for Economic and Policy Research. Jobs report job growth plunges in February. Don't hit panic button, likely due to extraordinary rapid growth in January. LinkedIn's economist Guy Berger similarly said he didn't expect February's print to be the norm and that it painted an overly negative picture. Just like the job gains of the prior few months, it gave an unreasonably rosy picture of the labor market given a meaningful slowing in economic activity. February's abysmal job gain gives an overly negative picture. Joseph Brusles of RSM. Strong monthly gain of 0.4% in wages, which brings the 3-month average annualized pace to 3.3%. That is the silver lining in an otherwise cloudy report. Yes, very much. I gotta tell you guys, especially for Treasuries, that hourly earnings number is really important. Because that, more than anything, is going to give you inflation. What if we had, did have a downturn, but hourly earnings continued to go up? You have inflation, and the Federal Reserve can't drop interest rates, perhaps? That sort of a thing. It'd be really bad. But the hourly earnings dramatically decreases the probability that the Federal Reserve will reduce interest rates, because you are still getting wage growth inflation. And it is actually getting better. We've had a really hard time getting wage growth inflation, and in February, it was better. The numbers are always volatile, as shown by the 20,000 jobs followed a 311,000 jump. The month before were particularly volatile, but the average for the last several months still reflects jobs are still being added at a strong 180,000 per month rate, and more importantly, wage growth was the highest of the expansion, with average earnings for private workers up 0.4 month over month, showing American workers were starting to collect more of the gains of the expansion, says Robert Frick, corporate economist at Navy Federal Credit Union. University of Michigan. Before you overreact to today's job creation number, January's too high number was bound to be offset. We are not on a steady pace of 311, closer to 200K. So look at the 3-month average. Good weather bolstered January. Polar vortex equals February. The error in the report is plus or minus 100K. The household report shows 255K more people employed. Using the 80-20 rule, that means that the right number is 67K. Still not a great number. Okay. Interesting. And gold moved higher. I don't really watch gold. I should have gold on there. Where is it? Where's my oil? Is getting a real beating this morning, by the way. Taking it to the low of the week. Wow, oil. Whew. Did our oil traders get in on that one? Okay, I see Zerv has been trading it. Down a lot for the day. 3%. Anyone gonna go long or expect a reversal? Crude loves its halves and round numbers too, in my opinion. That is a big down move. Lots of you guys in oil lately. Bam Bam Bigelow. Oh, Bam Bam Bigelow. Duh. I can't read. Gap down might trigger lots of stop orders from longs yesterday. When we get the open, that might be the case, yeah. Were there any state minimum wage laws going into effect January 1st? Oh, that's a good question, too. That would be really hard to tell, but let's try doing some research. I think that there was some. I really, the minimum wage thing, I've been doing a lot of reading on the minimum wage thing, and the way that we do minimum wage right now really bothers me, because it seems to me that there are things out there that I would be willing to pay people less than $15 an hour to do. Like, I don't think that it would be fair to pay somebody $5 an hour to do like manual labor in my yard all day long. That wouldn't be fair. But that labor is worth what minimum wage is right now. Like when I'm working in my yard and I'm digging those trenches, that ground is fucking hard. It is such a pain in the butt. I really hate it. I'm gonna have to do more of it because these guys swindled us. Is the best I can say it. I got defrauded. They didn't come and do the work. So I'm gonna do it myself because we have the time again. Anyways, but maybe it's just like a little thing. Like let's say I'm streaming here, right? And I feel like having somebody there to like play background music and change the cameras around so that I can focus on trading. I could have somebody do that. Now that is a job that is mostly someone just sitting there. But like if I could pay one of my kids $5 an hour to do that, I think that could probably be worth it. That would be like a reasonable thing, especially since they're mostly just sitting there, right? But because of minimum wage laws, you can't do that. So it seems to me that minimum wage jobs price a large number of people, particularly kids, out of the market. On the other hand, I do think that there needs to be some minimum wage in some areas, because if there wasn't, Walmart, for instance, Walmart would absolutely pay people $5, $1 an hour if they could, 100% if they could, So I think that they need to make it more complicated. I think that there needs to be like multiple minimum wages or something, right? Like I think that there should be a minimum wage, like maybe like a really, really low one. Like maybe it's $1 an hour or $5 an hour or something like that. Okay. That's like minimum wage. And it would only qualify for certain things. Like you would have to be a small business, or maybe not even like a business, but like just an individual paying somebody else an hourly rate, right? If you were a corporation, you wouldn't be able to offer jobs like that, for instance. You know what I mean? Then maybe could solve some of those problems. Yeah, I don't like the way that the minimum wage is right now. If minimum wage were $1 an hour, everything would be cheap as fuck. Right. Well, you can offer morning mentorship instead. Totally could. By the way, good morning, Cashalicious. I want a long ZBB, but I'm hesitant as to where. Oh, Uzi's saying that it went up in Florida. I didn't have that up while I was going on that whole long route. Yeah, you know that if minimum wage was lower, there would be some companies that would try and take advantage of it. Like honestly, right now the minimum wage is like what, $7, and most places are going to give you 10 now. Most places are going to give you 10. And but I really think that it's like companies will just say, okay, well, we need to pay just a little bit more than minimum wage, you know? And if the minimum wage was $5, they would probably only be giving people 7. If they reduced the minimum wage, I mean, that would be an interesting thing. Let's reduce. Has that ever happened? Has anybody ever reduced the minimum wage before? And what happened? I would think that there would be more employment. And I don't think that anybody would like, well, I don't know. I shouldn't speculate too much. But I bet you it probably happened at least once in history, right? USD CAD storms back in a sign that the loony bears are emboldened. On International Women's Day, we honor women worldwide for their vital role in shaping and strengthening our communities, families, governments, and businesses. Donald Trump doing the PR. Yep, and then back to gold. Oh, yes. So, we got distracted. We were looking at oil, and we need to look at GC, gold, which moved up quite strongly. And much unlike Treasuries, is holding its gains. Our minimum wage is $8.46, and we start people at $10 an hour at my wife's company without experience, $11 to $12 with experience. Yeah, exactly. So it's like everybody pays a little bit more than minimum wage. But it's almost like the minimum wage is like that lower end to give people a reference. Like, that's why I would be opposed to just completely getting rid of the minimum wage. Top out pay for team leaders is like $18 an hour to clean houses. Oh, so your wife's business is cleaning houses. That's interesting. But that is a lucrative business, I understand, because people that are rich and can afford to have other people clean their houses are very much willing to pay good money to have their house cleaned. I remember when I was a missionary in Kansas City, and I ran into some people that were doing that when I was teaching one Spanish-speaking people. And they would clean houses, and they made serious money doing that, man. Serious money doing that. 1 million a year in revenue, but 800K a year in payroll. Gotcha. Yeah. It's not necessarily a huge margin. Still. And you find lots of work, I'm assuming, because you've got a bunch of employees. You're making 1 million. I mean, that's really good. Interesting. Yeah, I think that if minimum wage was reduced, that like one of the things that kind of makes me think this is that it seems to me like a lot of the jobs that would be, really low, like lower than minimum wage, would maybe be more like personal assistant kind of jobs, you know? The kind of job where like It's a Wonderful Life. Remember in It's a Wonderful Life, the kid, when he's young and he's a kid, and he's the personal assistant to the pharmacist grocer guy, and he will actually run out the store and run errands for him. That kind of job doesn't exist anymore, right? That would be the maybe one of the sort of things that you could do, or like filling people's gas. That's probably a job that I think has probably been priced out of the current minimum wage. Nobody's going to pay somebody $10 an hour to clean your windshield. Although, and then what happens? Have you heard about in was it Baltimore? I think it was Baltimore that the kids, they will, when you're like waiting for the stoplight, the kids will come and clean your windshield and then demand money because they cleaned your windshield. And they're like super, super aggressive. And they're like gangbangers, so like people pay them. But you can see like there is a market for that, but it's been priced out because of the minimum wage. You would think cleaning houses is diminutive, but these chicks bank hard during the holidays. We pull about 500 to 600 houses in a month, and they leave them cash bonuses and shit. Wow, really? So, what kind of demographic do your employers fall under? So, are there a lot of teenagers? Or are I'm assuming most of them are pretty young, like maybe teenagers, maybe up as high as 24. Some of them pull $1,000 in cash a week during the holidays. Wow. Really? Really? That's crazy. Well, this is a thing that I've always think is interesting, is that how do I present this? Just because I'm just thinking of the cleaning businesses that I was thinking of, but the cleaning business that I was thinking of was just like an individual family, and my recollection was that they were not here legally, but they wait, mostly millennials, a handful of immigrant labor, not as much as the stereotype would assume. Lol. That's way more than I make in my shitty ass socialist country. Oh, so where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So this was like, I think that this particular family was here illegally, but I could be wrong about that. I don't. It's kind of vague. It was was over 10 years ago. Anyways, but the thing that I found really interesting during that time, because I was working in Lenexa, in which is a suburb of Kansas City, and that county has one of the lowest tax rates in the whole country. And so very, very rich people, and I mean very, very rich people, because I mean here in Utah, I mean there's a couple of nice neighborhoods, okay, Like I can go up and I can go to where all the basketball players live up on the mountain. I'm sure Ace probably knows what I'm talking about. And there's some pretty nice houses, right? But in this county in Kansas City, you take like the biggest houses that you see here in Utah and whole cookie cutter suburbs sprawling out for miles like that. Oh my gosh, it was so ridiculous. And they always had ridiculous cars too. Like it was usually like some lifted Ford F 550 with smokestacks, you know, like crazy cars, $100,000 pickup truck or whatever. And they were effing rich. I mean, this place was rich. This place was, we would walk, I mean, we walked almost everywhere there. And, you know, I'd see Ford GT, Lamborghini every day, every day. Immigrant labor usually winds up at Disney and shit, but we don't hire illegal labor. Too much risk. It's easier to keep things on the up and up, but cleaning houses is competitive since every middle-aged woman in Florida does it. That's funny. That's interesting. But anyways, so this was this really, really rich area, right? And we were Spanish-speaking missionaries. Well, my companion was Spanish-speaking, and I was kind of along for the ride. So you would think, being in a super rich area, probably not as many illegal immigrants, right? Wrong. Because you have a rich area, you've got to have the slave labor, guys. You got to have the slave labor. And so it was always like there was like the one apartment complex in that area. And there was like, you know, there'd be like stores and then there would be the apartment complexes, you know. And then beyond that, there would be all of the rich people houses. And the apartment complexes is where all of the illegal immigrants would work. And that was like the slave labor, you know. But you know, it was kind of funny that like people that are like super rich totally wanted this stuff though. Like, yeah, if I don't have to clean my house, it's too big, have somebody else clean it for me, then I do it. Which I think that probably to some of us it would be ridiculous because we're trying to like scrimp and save everywhere that we can so that we can, you know, waste all of the money on markets, right? But what's this right here? Oh, more spam. Love the spam. Let's ban him. Oh, they don't join the server. Yeah, you're banned anyways. I'm sure too, like when I was looking at people to finish my yard, you know, you can make good money in landscaping. You can. That's kind of one of the things that's kind of interesting is that a lot of things that I think most of us think is trivial manual labor that probably everybody has done at one point in their life, like having to dig in your backyard. There are people that do that for a living and they make pretty okay money doing it. Because obviously if you're working for an hourly rate, it sucks. But if you own the business, man. We had to turn people away because they wouldn't make it past E-Verify, which sucks because we know in our experience they'd probably be amazing. Oh, absolutely. They'd probably be amazing employees worth every penny at a fair wage. I totally agree with that. In Florida, with a pickup truck and a lawnmower, you can be a millionaire in 5 years? Really? I don't think my body could handle that, though. Man, my back has been so jacked up lately. I don't know what to do. I have an appointment with my guy next week. I think it's Tuesday. Okay, I have an appointment with him on Tuesday. and he's gonna dry needle me. But man, like especially my traps, they just it's not happy. Oh, okay, so it's 7:30. Here's the e-mini going. Okay, no clear initial drive as of yet. Maybe a little bit more towards the sell side at the moment. Would not be surprised to see the e-mini sell a little bit today. I think I want to wait though before I try taking anything. I'd rather start a business like that in Florida than grind my ass in a poverty prison like New York City. Oh, totally. Like that's probably like one of the things though is that in New York City, like the reason that you can make that kind of money is because you can start your own business. In New York City, try starting your own lawn care business. Like, oh my gosh. It's so difficult to start anything over there. China proposing phase-in measures over 6 years in trade talks. Okay. Phase-in measures. Okay, so there was some buying and we moved down a little bit. I got a friend up there that makes $500,000 a year working for LexisNexis and he's broke AF. Really? And it's the whole thing about like what is your labor worth, I think is very interesting. The thing is like to the automation thing, right? Let's talk about automation. Because I was watching something yesterday where somebody was saying, well, the reason that places like Michigan, like Detroit, basically, all of those workers got displaced. We tend to blame it on foreign competition, right? Well, auto workers in the United States, we don't make as much because those jobs went to China. But the truth is that a lot of that just got automated. A lot of that work just got automated. And so there were less jobs because of that. Now, I think that eventually other industries, they grow enough that those lost jobs are built somewhere else. I mean, it's always going to happen, right? People need to have jobs. They're going to find something that they can do that makes money. Maybe it might not make as much money as what they would like to do, but they're always going to find a job, But the automation did displace a lot of workers. Yeah. But the thing that I don't think people realize is that, okay, so yeah, maybe some of those jobs are lost and those people have to work for less. Totally a thing. But things are cheaper. And they're going to continue to get cheaper. Like, can you imagine? You think about some of the improvements that we've had in manufacturing that allow us to, make cheaper electronics and cheaper goods in general. And imagine if those were applied to building houses. What if you could have a house for a family of 6 and only have to pay $100,000 for it, right? Because it was like a mass-produced cookie cutter home that was like 3D printed by a giant 3D printer or something like that. You know what I mean? You imagine how different the world and the economy would be if people could build houses cheaper. Like the only major expensive component of it would be the land at that point, right? Completely different world at that point. So yeah, there may be a problem with creating enough jobs for everybody with a lot of manufacturing jobs being automated, but there's going to be other advancements in other places that could offset that. Okay, so the E-mini is moving up a little bit, but they appear to be struggling to even just make what they're doing right now, and the cumulative delta since the open has been negative by about 2,000 contracts. Dude ain't even got a washer and dryer. The poorest people I know down here in Florida have a washer and dryer within 50 feet of them. Yeah, I tell you, the thing that sucked the most about when I was first married and we were in a crappy apartment that was like $500 or $700 a month or whatever it was having to go and do the laundry because you didn't have laundry in your own. And when we finally got an apartment that had laundry, like that was a big step up. Okay, so it has been 5 minutes, and I definitely see some support here above the open. They don't appear to want to go for it, and I think that the E-mini still wants to sell, generally speaking. When we get a little bit of a pullback here, that might help us get filled. Or it could tick up without us. That could happen too. Darn. John Grady tweets, pretty big miss on the employment numbers. Initial jump in treasuries is what one would expect, but this retracement all the way back is not. Bonds at lows could be hard to read the context today. Have to see what happens when stocks open. Well, John, you have a very good point, but I think that we already covered that one, right? Kudlow blames shutdown and weather. Is he on television right now? Is that what's going on? I think that there's a lot of big reasons for that number to not be accurate, and that's why it came back. Ooh, 6,000, 7,000 at 23? Is that a... what the fuck? Well, the E-mini is making a push up as that happens. Trading famous last words. What the fuck? Right. Well, he might not have read all of the stuff that we were able to read. I'm sure that by tomorrow he'll be looking at it and going, oh, okay. Okay, so that 9 is holding. What the fuck? I think we have to get... oh, shit. Well, that trade totally did not work out. Tough to read the context. I want to sell now. Well, that was a huge move in cumulative delta. They just gave up a lot there. Holy crap. Okay, so now that they're at 20, they are now the low from the opening range. Added 23 VWAP, by the way, all bonds weak for half an hour, especially Bund. I don't know if this is going to come back or not. I see the support at 20. That whole thing down there was not. That was like 30,000. Look, here it is 85, and now it's 63. The E-mini did breach the top end of that range, but only momentarily, and now it's still ranging back and forth here. So it is still, let's just clear all current trades. So it is still within a range. He must have, maybe Larry said something. China still negotiating by phone. President Trump confident of getting a deal with China. Okay. Kudlow says, where to go? Where to go? U.S. economy growing at 3% or more. Okay, where were we at when that? Okay, so it was the 23. Kudlow should say less things. If this does come back up, I think you could see 25. Depends on if that big order at 23 pulls or not. That was a pretty big. Okay. So 4K absorbed at 21. They are starting to get a little thicker now. And tick back up. Having difficulty holding that bid. 5-year not quite there. E-mini pushing top of its range. Strong tick down 3,000 there. 21. Okay. So that was a pretty positive turn there for ES. Really sucks to have been in that when that happened. I guess it was kind of just, it seems like a little bit of chance. Well, that is pumping up to 7. The E-mini is really working its way back up. Trump's budget will show path towards lower deficits. He's making a budget. Okay, interesting. $20 half. Lots of selling there. So there's a pretty big iceberg there at 20 half. Okay, how much, how little they're putting on. Okay, so it goes offer. Nobody's hitting 20. Not yet, at least. I think they might. I think they might make this tick down, yeah. Oi. E-mini's still going up. Okay, let's just take a step back for a bit. There's a delay from the YouTube feed and it feels I am watching markets from the future. Well, there's a delay, but it's like 5 seconds. Shouldn't be that much. Hmm. Right as I get out, probably. Hmm. Filled a little too easily there. But the E-mini is appearing to take a swing. Hmm. When you see the level 2 changing around this much, things can move really quickly against you. You gotta be careful. I guess we already experienced that once today, didn't we? FANG stocks slump as Warren calls for breaking up big tech. Amazon down 1.6%, Facebook down 0.9%. Okay. E-mini. So now we're getting this thing. When the E-mini was moving up, Treasuries moved down significantly. And now that the E-mini is coming back, Treasury's not reacting at all. $18.19 from yesterday is a key level. Lucas, will you remind me how much it took you to become profitable trading Treasuries? The one tick grind is enough. This week was a hard grind of one tick each day for 3 days. Lost those 3 ticks a day for break even week, and considering commissions is down actually. And so, what is your actual win rate? Trump, very big spike in markets when trade deal is done. He says when, not if. 5-minute warning for news. Okay, so at the moment, equities are bouncing about where you would expect if you were to still have a bull run. Uzi. I never traded the price ladder or order floor before I came to futures. Well, look, I think that on average, people don't feel consistent until they've been in markets for like 3 years. So it takes a long time, that's for sure. And especially when you get a week like this week where, you know, markets can move a little odd. There's been some counterintuitive moves, but um, if you go with the framework about what tends to happen on certain types of days and things like that, I think you'll find that a trend day like yesterday, you can kind of see coming and you can just go along with it and hold it. Don't fight the trends. We get more into the summer, then you get the mean reversion thing and the trend will never work. Because I've been in markets in general for 11 years, going on 12. Wow, that's a long time. That's almost as long as John. John's been going for over 10, 12 years, I think. And it's still hard. We talk about the trades that went well and didn't go well for him. He's always still looking for things. Forex live sell the fact on that big, very big spike in markets when a trade deal is done. So this news that's coming up here. It's Fed Chair Powell speaks. No, but I had something over here in Jigsaw. What was it? Maybe if I refresh the page, it'll update the calendar for me and show me. Wholesale inventories month over month. But is that actually today? Could be next. It could be Monday. Oh, it is today. But the Fed chair is talking here. One-minute warning. How much to stop losing? You never stop losing. The losses just get smaller and smaller. Unless you're like me. And then every once in a while you're just completely tilts and okay, I'm getting the 11 tick zipper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're gonna get filled. Okay. It did not fill. Bouncing euro bonds at the moment. Okay. ES really took a dive there. I think there could be more in that. It's hard to say. Lucas, I screwed up today. I don't have experience trading non-farm payroll. I go through a lot of thinking processes, and for that I need relatively quiet action because I am not fast at making decisions during fast action. My trading experience, I'd imagine, has been pretty typical. You lose or break even for years at a time, have a kind of aha moment, then it starts to normalize. Yeah. I don't know if I ever had an aha moment, but I think there was just like key things where you learn something and it slowly gets better, you know? Like, I remember when I first started to see level breaks on trend days, I was like, uh-huh. And so every time that I saw that setup, I would try and take it. And then it stopped working for a while, and I was like, oh, it doesn't always work. These are the times that it does work, and these are the times that it doesn't work. Okay. So that was about the best that except for that I didn't get filled at 19.5. Yeah, not in the sense that everything becomes perfect, but you get rigid in what you're looking for, picky about prices, and every day becomes the same. Then you either win or lose. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because in the beginning, you're kind of looking at things, and I think that we kind of do the natural human thing, which is, okay, I think I see a pattern, so I'm going to take a trade based off of that. And then that time it doesn't work. And so you go, oh, well, maybe that pattern doesn't mean anything. And, and it takes a couple of times for you to see it to maybe say, okay, that one time that it happened, it doesn't actually matter. I need to see what the actual, track it over time and see what the actual stats are on it. And then maybe even it doesn't happen most of the time. Maybe it only happens 40% of the time, but you make so much on it, you realize that it's worth it. And once you start getting into that, then you can kind of get into a routine where, okay, here are the ones that I take, here are the spots that I take. And, you just make small adjustments. But the thing that I always believed and that I like to continue to stress is that the difference between profitable and just kind of skidding your wheels along, going nowhere. Sorry, but that was a bad explanation. The difference between just breaking even and just kind of spinning your wheels is the little things. It's just all of the tiny little things. This one tick here, this spot that you should take here, this time frame that you shouldn't take here. All of those little things add up, right? If you go in and you understand the market and you understand what's going on and where you should get in and where you should get out, that kind of only just puts you on par. To really be able to consistently pull money out, you need to get all those teeny tiny little edges. Okay, well, the E-mini doesn't look done to me. I think that they've come down there. It's kind of just going sideways here for a little bit. They might go down for that low. We'll see how treasuries react when it happens. The big ugly was at 23. I got better at some things. Any other day during the past 3 months, I would have bought that 10K iceberg at 22.5. Today, I was about to buy it, but then pulled the order. I was risking too much on the downside if it didn't hold. Like John says, it's not just one thing, it's 100% everything. Totally. Where was that 10K, by the way? I forgot. There was some 10K down at the bottom, right? Well, this is a pretty strong bid there. Good morning, bird. Okay, that was a good take, too. Pretty good on the offer. Oh, and there they took it. Okay. I thought so. Okay, so are we going to test the 23 now? Come on. Yep, okay. 333 traded right into it. Kudlow, U.S. asked China for currency stability. U.S. President Trump, Mexico and Canada agreement is done and goes to Congress shortly. Okay, they've traded into 23, but they're not holding the bid at 22.5. It's ranging a little bit. The way that we came up here, 22.5 was a gap, which is always makes me a little wary. You gotta divide your two things into two things, context and entry. You can get context from a regular price chart, but when it comes to pinpointing entries, the order flow provides all kinds of little edges. And China said, fuck off, right? And China said, yeah, I get what you're saying now, right? Well, that's the whole thing, is that it seems to me, from these, what I keep hearing from the trade negotiation is like, everything's good, we're gonna make a deal, everything's good, and then it's China isn't actually going to change anything, they just want to give us more money. It's like they think that they can just bribe us, and they know that the administration is in a politically difficult situation now because they need a trade deal soon, because they don't want to have a recession going into the 2020 elections. That would be very bad. Okay. Ooh, I should check my my package. I got a package coming today. Is it on track? Well, we're holding an okay bid at 22. We might tick up again at 22.5. But the mini is not quite yet sure if it's going to go down for another one or not. Okay. So they're ticking back and forth across 22 pretty easily now. There's a decent amount on the offer, 22.5. E-mini's moving back up. I think I should take the 6 ticks. Or sorry, that one right there. Yeah. The 4 ticks, rather. It's a shame that that second order didn't get filled, or then I would have been like, done. I said, okay. Made my 8, I'm fine. Okay. On vehicle for delivery, yes. I'm gonna have fun tonight. Don't tell anybody. But we have some computer components for the kid coming in because his computer keeps overheating. And I got this deal. It was a X1700 for $150, and the motherboard was free. And it's a crappy motherboard, but it's a crappy motherboard that was like crappy because it was failing and they've like fixed the problem. So I'm pretty excited to see what we get. I was thinking lately that in this game you have to master two things: context and trade management, being good at making the read and then being good at managing the trade once you enter. Most of the times I have good read, but about trade management I might as well sit a monkey in front of my keyboard to decide for me, and I might do better. Okay, so this is where I'm, if that's the thing that I think I think you should always have something in the back of your mind that is like, this is the one thing that I'm focusing on the most right now. You should have like three things, and one thing is like, this is my focus and I'm thinking about all the time. And then you have two other things that you kind of you keep tabs on them, we'll say, right? And sometimes you just got to let them go. If you put too much into trade management, you develop a track record of cutting good trades too soon. You wind up losing more money than you make when you win. I've placed trades that just got up and walked away. Yeah. That one's a really tough one, you know. I'm a proponent of actively managing your trade, but you've got to know your edge, you know. And you've got to realize that if you're actively managing it, that a lot of the time you will cut it short. But for me, at least, I think that the times that I cut it short are far outweighed by the times that you could have gotten totally screwed, you know? But I was going to say that if that's your problem, the thing that I would focus on is the individual prices, because that's where you get screwed up with your trade management. And that comes down to your entry too, because what could happen is you're getting the right entry, you buy it and it goes up. But let's say, you know, I bought it at 19.5. Okay. Because I got a signal there to go long. Let's say that you didn't catch that, but you did see when it was coming up that there was some momentum, and you bought 21, for instance, right? Now I picked 21 because look at how much size is there on it. 7,800, right? So to me, what happened was there was a trade there. 21 was the spot that they weren't sure that they were going to get. And when they did, they stacked it on there, because now there's interest in this particular price holding or not holding. Makes sense? Okay. But if you were long 21, now what do you do? Right? Because we don't know if it's going to go up anymore, and I took it off. Are we going to get above 23 where there was that big 9K thing? Would I even be able to get filled at 22.5 right now? And if it doesn't happen, we could very easily be below 21 again. Right? So what happened if you got along there 21, what happened? You saw the signal, but you didn't manage the entry correctly. You didn't get the best price. You didn't catch like the edge. Seth can attest to that. I'm sure you can see when he gets flustered in how he places trades if he hits a losing streak. I'm not taking it. Yeah, totally. It's you can explain this sort of stuff with the chemicals in your brain, right? Because anytime that you have a trade and you get an uptick, or it's going well, or you get a winning trade, that's a reward. And when you get a reward, that releases chemicals in your brain that reinforce the chemical pathways that were active in making that trade, right? Makes you more likely to take that trade in the future, simply because of that you took it and you were profitable. That's why you got to be careful about, you take a trade, I know this is a bad trade, but I take it anyways, and then it turns out for you. You're going to start doing that more. And so you don't want to mess around with those things, because you're programming your brain wrong, right? But if you take the trade and you don't get that win, then you don't get that chemical. And then it's harder to focus. So now all of a sudden you start making poor decisions. Okay, they're trading enough into 23. I mean, I think there's an iceberg, but there's enough that it could maybe go higher. I think yeah, it's a little bit too late. So here again, if you had come up here, you probably would have had to have bought 22. Probably would have had to have bought 22. Right back through it. Yeah. Anyways, so when you get a loser, you actually become slightly more likely to get another loser after that. Simply because of the chemicals in your brain. So you got to be, so at a certain point, you almost start trading yourself, this is how I start to feel in this kind of action, and I feel like that right now, and so I should act it this way, or I should act it this way. So, I think the best example of that was earlier in the session. I tried to take it long on the initial move, but I didn't get filled. And when it came back to that area, I said, okay, I've done this before, and I'll take that, and I really, really want that to get filled. And then they always move against me 2 ticks, and it doesn't happen. And so I pulled the order and waited for it to settle before I bought it. Boom. That's one example. And then it came up, and I knew in the past I've been looking for it to go higher, but in this particular context we don't necessarily know. And so I just knew based on my emotions what other people were probably thinking. There was probably a lot of people that saw that number and thought, oh, this could just keep trending up all day. And I knew, okay, this is unusual. It came all the way back. We got to be careful. So when I took that trade long the first time and got, however much, what was the first one? Oh, it was only 4 ticks. But when I got the 4 ticks on it, and then I saw the spoof, well, not the spoof, but there was like a stack there. I immediately knew, okay, they're playing with our emotions, because I've felt this before in this particular context, and this is what happened. And even though I didn't get the best price, I could have gotten 2 more ticks out of it. They did reverse that and flip it lower, didn't they? Right? Seth is more science oriented, but we're essentially saying the same shit. But yeah, eventually you're almost kind of trading yourself, right? But that's also, I think, maybe one of the places where I'm not as good of a trader is I feel like that I'm not able to connect with the people quite as well as I used to. Because, I take the Adderall. I think that kind of shuts down that limbic system a little bit. Now, some people like that about me. I think that's why a lot of you guys like to listen to the channel, because my analysis is always pretty cut and dry. There's not really any emotion behind it. Like if I got on here and I acted like Jim Cramer, and it was just like buy, sell all the time, I'm sure that plenty of people would watch it. I mean, there's kind of already a market for that, and his name is Jim Cramer, and he already has kind of a domination on that market. But you could maybe become the Jim Cramer of YouTube, but you'd probably be very, very popular. But I'm just not quite like that anymore, and I think that people like the cold analysis, Oh, hi, Ron. How's it going? You're a little late. I think you're missing a lot of the fun. The same applies when I enter trade and the market goes 1 tick in my favor. I get nervous and take the 1 tick profit, only to watch the market go 4 ticks further. But that's where you've got to know the prices, right? Just like with this one, we knew that there was something odd about 23. We knew that there was a possibility that they weren't even going to get through 23. That's why I took my profit where I did. And look what happened. We ticked up and barely even like 5 traded through it, and then they cut it back down. Right? So if we had taken a trade at 21 and we had gotten 21 half, why would we take it off there? Because we know that that's the bottom. Like, that's the bottom of the range. And yeah, you should be able to get at least one. You should be able to get at least one, if not 4 out of that. But I guess when you're taking a trade, you should have some idea about where it's going to go. When I take a 1 tick trade, it's usually because I can see something about 2 prices that makes me think that I can get filled on both sides. And I know that there's a possibility of some trend reversing, but what I'm seeing about those prices is just that. So that's the only reason that I take it as 1 ticks. If that's the trade, then that's the trade you got to take. And if it goes further, you kind of just got to say, oh, well, because your trade wasn't that it was going to go further. In a way, when Seth has a bad day, there's plenty you can learn from that as a viewer itself. I agree. I don't know which day it was, but there was a day last April that was really bad. And the end of that week was when I stopped trading my live account. And it's hard to watch. But you can go and watch those and you can kind of see the thought process of somebody when they're tilting. You know, you get, and I mean, it's not to criticize you or anything, but it kind of sounds a little bit like what you're doing, what you're saying to us right now, right? It's almost like depression, you know? It's like, where did I read this? Where did I get this? It was a video or something, but they said that depression is rage turned inward, right? Once you get to that point where you're mad at yourself for having a losing day, right? Because it wasn't just that the action was bad, it was that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, right? That hurts. Like that that makes it hard to trade successfully. I think when you start to feel that sometimes that's just a signal that you should just call it a day. If we can't learn from when we fuck up, we're doing the wrong thing in trading. We have to be able to know when we're being stupid so we can fix it. Yeah. I'll put you on the background because I find your voice soothing. Well, thank you very much. I don't feel like I have a particularly amazing voice, but I have a good microphone and I know how to use a compressor. So the hopes and dreams bullshit just makes people stupid. That's another good comment, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that one's a tough one because it's totally your expectations, and refusing to bend your expectations to reality is definitely one of the hardest things. It's just so weird. Like, humans just have the wildest ability to just, you know, not give up on their expectations. So that's where I was. I think, I don't remember the name of the YouTube channel, but there's this guy. He has a podcast called like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And like the idea of it is that like if you were poor, you would have been taught by your parents poor habits. And so I'm going to be like your rich dad that can teach you rich habits and rich people way of thinking. And he was saying, you know, like if a rich person, if they have a good investment opportunity and they don't have the money to take advantage of that investment opportunity, the poor person will just say, I can't afford it. And the rich person will say, how can I afford it? What are some ways that I can go out and raise this money to make this thing happen? And that is kind of the mindset difference between a rich person and a poor person, you know. But they were talking also though about that it's just people just have this incredible ability to just stick to what they expect. And so if you have some expectation that you should make money and you can be rich, that can really, really help you, and you can have really good you can have really good runs. But that person also tends to sabotage themselves at some point because the situation will change and it's not in line with their expectations and they won't follow it through. Right? Yes, or jigsawing along. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this area. The E-mini is running sideways. We weren't able to get above 23. We bounced off of 23. I suppose there is a possibility that we move lower. But I don't know. I'm not going to take any more trades because it's 8:30. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so an example that I think everybody is familiar with. Freaking Kanye West. Kanye West displays this attribute more than anybody. Okay? Kanye West grew up in the fucking ghetto. And he always thought that he was going to be something. He knew he had that self-confidence, like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be somebody. I am a musical genius and I am going to change the music of a generation. And he went out there and he did that because that's what he expected of himself. That was what he told himself, and he made that his reality. Because he, probably more than anybody else that I've ever seen, has that kind of self-strength that you believe in yourself regardless of anything else, right? But it's also a problem because then when he sees something that he doesn't agree with, like, oh, I don't think that this person should have gotten a video of the year because this video was like one of the best videos of all time. So he gets up, he's so overly confident, he gets up and makes a fool of himself because it never crosses his mind that, oh, maybe there's another video award that's even better than this award. And that video that I think is the best video of all time is going to get that award too, right? He doesn't consider that. You screw up, right? So you have to have both. You have to have the ability to kind of have self-confidence, right? Like for you, Lucas, if you had a bad week, but if you think about it, you're like down 3 ticks or break even, you know, that's pretty good, actually, especially if you're brand new. Kanye has bipolar order and is not a genius. Well, I don't think that he's a genius. I think that his success is due primarily to that attribute. And it's really a logical fallacy that is built into people's heads. Right? Anyways, where I was going with this, this rich dad, poor dad guy, he was saying that the education system doesn't actually educate us because the education system is almost kind of designed to beat that sort of a thing out of us. The education system is designed to teach you to be an hourly wage worker. And they put you in there and you're supposed to get all of the answers right and do everything the way that they expect you to do it. When you go out into the real world, that's not necessarily the way that it works. And so they almost kind of kill that attribute in some people. You know? It's a double-edged knife, yeah. But to be break even, I know I have a really disjointed thought process sometimes. That's the ADHD. Anyways, to be break even after a week like this is pretty damn good, actually. I think that my first year of trading, if I had taken, a week like this, I would have been down like $2,000. I don't think we did particularly well this week. In fact, I'm probably going to be pretty embarrassed to watch what we did this week because I think we had that one day that was pretty bad. Yeah. There's some trade in there that technically doesn't really count, but it was this one right. No, that was this one right here. I don't know what the deal was with that one. But yeah, not a good week for me. And I think that what happened there was that, I'm like a coal miner with the shit broken, bruised, and covered in soot, but I keep coming back because despite all that, I do get paid. Well, I think that the way around this is to just stay in the game. I think that if you just stay in the game, eventually your time is going to come. There's going to be a time period where you just everything works and you do so well, and then just, don't give that back, essentially. But I don't think that anybody can say, I have so many thoughts going through my head right now. I've been hearing from a lot of people lately in private messages about other trading rooms. And they were actually saying that these other trading rooms were like paying people to go around to other rooms and like troll and shit. Anyways, this room, what am I going to mention? There's an extensive thread about them. And they were saying, this guy, he advertises that he does so well, but then he never talks about the days that he does poorly. And since he's not showing you all of his trades, you don't get to see it, right? The fact of the matter is that all traders are going to have bad days, and you're probably going to have like super, super bad days. And I don't think that overall my bad days, they get better and better. I have less of them, and when I do have a bad day, they're not as bad, but I still have them. Totally. And I think that it's really harmful to people for there to be people out there with these trading rooms coming out there and telling people, oh, you can do great all the time. Just buy my thing. It's bullshit. They're scamming you. He's taking hundreds of dollars from you a month to get indicators that don't work. And then he turns around and he blows all of that money on his shitty trading that doesn't work. And then he lies to you about his trading. That's what happens. And then he tells you that this is the way that trading can be, that this is the way that your trading can be, and it's not true. Trading is not that. You are going to have hard times. And so then you come into this place where you're getting down on yourself because you have some expectation that somebody else put in your head that no trader has ever been through. Yeah. You know who I think is a good trader to follow? Is Crudelli. What is Anthony? Anthony is his first name, right? Anthony Crudelli. And he talks about it on his podcast. I was doing really good. There was a time period where I would just wait for the treasuries to move up and then I would sell it, and I was killing it every day. And then all of a sudden the market, it changed, and I was losing every day, and I kind of had to take a step back, right? That's trading, right? That's normal. That's what's going to happen to everybody, and you should expect that. And so to have a week where things didn't really work, but you're still break even, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I was talking about Vinny. This funny bit. Okay, a couple more comments here, and then I think I should go and type up my notes. The thing with me, I can have a bad day in terms of money, but it doesn't bother me as much as not understanding why I lost money, not understanding why the market moved the way that it did. That drives me mad. Okay. So let's talk about that in a second. Also, what I say, I'm always posting my trades, winners or losers. No one wins every time. Anyone who says they do is lying or something. Yes. I saw this Facebook ad the other day captioned, "What are you doing to challenge yourself as a trader?" And I was like, trading. That's what I'm doing to challenge myself as a trader. Oh, man. I'm running one more 2-week long live webinar before the summer. It starts April 1st. It's a few weeks away, but if interested, it's the best to look into it now. Next one will not be until November. That's John Grady. Okay, so what was he going to say? Oh, yeah. I think that it's important to try and understand why the market is running the way that it is. Because then when you go back and you think about the trades that you took that day and the prices that things happened at, and you know why they happened, you can put that into context so that you can see it for the future. But sometimes you're not going to know what caused the market to do what it did for a very, very long time. So as an example, sometime around last October, so not this past October, but like October 2017, I think it was, there was a short time period where all of the spreads flipped around, like just completely flipped on their head randomly out of nowhere. And the way that the markets moved was extremely odd. So as an example, there was a day where the ZB moved up 16 ticks, 16, 24 ticks, something like that. And ZN did not move at all because there was such a strong move in the spread. And it was completely against the trend that we had and everything that we had known. And and we were like, well, something is happening. Somebody is taking a spread trade. And that went on for about a week. And then there was kind of, reverberation effects after that. Well, a month later, we found that what had happened was a very large hedge fund had come in and had taken a counter trend spread trade based on governments starting to offer more 30-year treasuries. So we didn't understand the context of what was happening until long after it happened. So just be patient. Eventually, I think that where we're at right now in the markets is a very, very uncertain place. I think there's a really good chance that we trade down to 2,600. But even if we trade down to 2,600, we're still in like an uncertain place. We still don't know if we're going into a recession or not. And we might not know for like another 6 months or a year. So sometimes you just got to be patient. I think, man, those birds are really like... I hope that that's not too loud or irritating for you guys. So what was I going to say? The other thing that I wanted to address. Yeah, I think that obviously the best thing you can always do as a trader is trade. That's why one of the things that I really dislike is when people say, that you have to trade live. I mean, obviously trading live is always better. But if you don't have the money, you should trade sim. Because it's better than nothing. You learn more. I mean, that does mean that there are certain other challenges that you're going to have to face when you go live, but it's still better than nothing. And then Dalton's profile seminars are good, but not a trade room for ES anyways. Yeah, the Dalton thing is interesting because my understanding is, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Dalton got together with a statistics guy and they came together and did some studies and found some statistical edges. And those are like the 10 edges that he lists at the end of his Mind Over Markets book. But my understanding is that they stopped working for him. Honest feedback on the birds. They are the worst part of my day. Okay, I'm sorry. We need to. So if you want to deal with the birds, my gosh, and it's that baby bird too. I need to get a new door. So if you contribute to the Patreon every month, That would help. That helps a little bit because that's where I save that money up so that we can get a new door that hopefully will block the birds out a bit. Because right now that door doesn't block the sound at all. But the other problem is that younger bird is just, he just doesn't get it. He's always screaming like that it's the end of the world, and I don't think he realizes that he's screaming like it's the end of the world. He's just hearing the other one. I ain't done shit yet. I don't have enough confidence in either direction. Well, thanks. I feel pretty dumb about that trade where I got slaughtered at 23. I'm honestly just feel grateful that I came out of this with 5 ticks. I think it could have been a lot better if I had taken the loss on that one a little bit better and been more patient on the one after that. But yeah. See, I could have had an 8-tick day if I hadn't screwed up. So it's not all sunshine and roses. What was he saying? Gotta throw some levity in there. I've probably taken 4 or 5 of his long form seminars since 2013 and read both of his books. I haven't seen him give anything like that out with statistical edges. He's more about market feel. Well, yeah, I don't think that he's ever published it, but somebody told me. This is what I'm saying. I'm not sure, maybe, and somebody can correct me. But somebody told me that he wasn't actually trading it anymore. Like they had done the statistics on it and it worked. And then they did the statistics and it didn't work. And he was kind of doing his own thing now. But that's the thing that I think is really interesting about the market profile thing, is that there you have something that there is some real edge in market profile. There really is. That was a strong move up in the E-mini, by the way. Wow. And the downtick with it too. Wonder if they're going to go down to the low of the day. That's an edge that's so strong that the person that came up with it doesn't use it anymore, and yet thousands of traders have found it to be useful. Kind of interesting, right? But that's kind of where it goes back to. It's like the little things. Like you can have a strategy that totally works and still lose money, right? And also the patience, because you could have a strategy that totally works, but you might not be able to see that it totally works without, trading it for 5 years. When it comes down to trading rooms, if they don't help you with precise entries, it doesn't do you any good no matter what. You die by 1,000 paper cuts. Yeah, you think so? I guess I can see what you're saying there. Because you might get a signal and you might get long and then not get enough out of it because you're too late on the trade. Well, that's why I just hate the idea of a trading room as like a signal generator. I don't think that that's the way that it should be. Is it snowing? I better go look. I better post my notes here too, because it's 8:45. But yeah, I don't like the trading room as a signal generator. I think that a trading room should help you. Should be a community where you can get some advice and mentorship that will help you develop your own method. but I don't want anybody to be trading the exact same way that I trade, because I know that it wouldn't work for you, because the way that I trade is very much designed towards me and the way that I think. Okay, see that downtick there at 20.5, and they're putting 8K on it. So now they are saying that they're just going to buy this up. So that offer that they stuck in at 23, they're basically doing the same thing that they did right here. And that also means that if they do pull back here, that they might have a hard time coming back up from over 21. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really, and you know, more to the point with the trading rooms, I would never pay serious money for a trading room. I could see somebody maybe saying, let's charge $1 or $5 or maybe even $20 or $30 for a trading room as a filter mechanism to kind of keep the room more serious. You know, like if we ever became popular, I don't think that like I said, there's a certain point at which we become too popular, at which there's an imbalance in the market because there should never be that many people trading futures. But you could get to a point where you could say, okay, there's a problem with having that many people in the room at one time, and so we have to filter it down to just the people that care by having a subscription or something like that, so that there's less noise in the room, right? But a lot of these people are trading are charging like $50, $100, $200 a month for these trading rooms. And so many people pay for it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And my recommendation is you never pay for a room like that, ever. It's not worth it. Futures Trading Discord is way better than any trading room. I think so. I really think that we have one of the best futures trading rooms, if not the best futures trading rooms. And it's not because we have some trader that is like super great, and it's not because you get super good entry signals from the people there or anything like that. It's just because it's just normal traders just kind of sharing what they know. That's what makes it the best. People who try to piggyback on other traders are never going to make money trading. I agree with that too. I like to look at what other traders are doing to see what I can gather from what they're doing, but I'm never making a trade based off of what they do. Sometimes I see people come in and they say that they're taking a trade, and I think that they're trying to convince me to make a trade, and it's like, no, I have my own strategy, and this says not to get in here. Okay, well, now that it came back down, I don't know if they're going to make a new low or not, but man, the E-mini really bought there. Was there some news? Bad news is good news. Algos have arrived. Barnier told ambassadors EU is willing to give Brits a unilateral exit from a single customs territory, the big concession that May won in the withdrawal agreement, while preserving other elements of the backstop. EU will insist the UK will not be kept in credit union against its will. Okay, so that is good news. That might have been what caused that. That's happened in the last 10 minutes, so that might not be the news, though. We could go back a little bit further. Crispin Audie's hedge fund plunges 10% as stock markets rebound. U.S. guardedly optimistic on China trade talks. I don't know. There must have been some news there that moved that up. Man, I've enjoyed the discussion today, but I need to go now and post notes. So I'm going to post notes. If you guys got any like parting comments, I'll cover them when I come back here in a minute or two. And of course, now that I'm going to start typing, the birds have become quiet. Oh. Thanks, Jerry. Okay. Yep, have a good weekend. I think you're doing pretty good so far, Lucas, so stick with it. Mm-mm-mm. Even if they get hit by a bus, you're screwed. Yeah. All right, guys. I will see you next week. And I think the next week should be a pretty interesting week as well. And I don't know, like normally going into March and April, things start to get a little bit harder. But given where the market is at, I think that things might stay active for a little while. So stay on your toes and stick with it. All right. Anyways, I will see you guys on Monday. In the meantime, stay profitable.